Hey y'all, it's Nancy, the Handy Scandy, here for Whimsy Stamps. Thanks for joining me today. I've got a bit of a two-for situation going on today. What's a two-for sitch, you might ask? Two for one. In this case, I'm getting two slimline backgrounds for the price, the cost, the effort of one. So I started out by making my background with some watercolor card as well as a set of Lindy's Magicals. This is the Steampunk Soiree set. Now, if you want to see how I made the background, you can hop over to my channel, which I will link downstairs. You can hop over there really quick and easy when we're done here. And I just loved it. So when I cut this out, I used the Slimline Victorian Layers die set to cut out this background. And once I cut out this particular piece, which is the inside, or is it this, I don't know the positive and negative of physical things, but anyway, it's the inside. But when I saw the outside, I knew that that didn't need to be thrown away. That could actually be a frame. And I feel like whenever we do a big die cut or any kind of die cut, we have the potential at least for a twofer. So yeah, so now what I'm doing is the Build a Fairy Garden die set, and I have just cut out all the pieces for the mushrooms. I've cut out all of the sweet fairies, and I've used a variety of black cardstocks, as you can see. I have some matte black. I have some shimmery gray black. It's almost a silver, but it's gray. And then, of course, I have the black glitter. And then I have a black, I don't even know what to call it. It's almost a plasticized cardstock. It has this layer of almost like a laminate over the top of it. It's very hard to die cut, but it has a really cool effect. And so that is what the last two mushroom tops were made out of, is that almost laminate black cardstock. So anyway, a variety of different ones gives us different textures, different tones, different shimmers and shines. And so I have them all placed where I want them. That last little mushroom cap on the far left really isn't a mushroom, but I thought, you know what, it can look like it's a tiny one that's just outside a scene. I just didn't want to waste it. So anyway, there we go. So now I have all these sweet little fairies die cut out of the black glitter stock. Now, side note, all of this cardstock that I've created my mushrooms and my fairies with, it's all scrap. Every bit of it, it's all scrap. Yeah. And so I'm just trying to figure out placement of everybody. I don't know if you guys have heard me use the term audition, but I tend to audition my pieces a lot, and that helps me know exactly where I want to put it. And audition just means I try it on one spot, and then I try it in another, just to make sure that it's coming out and things are placed in the areas where I see them in my brain. So I think this is turning out really cute. I felt like the particular die cut background was a little bit too small for that large card base. This particular card base, I believe, was cut out at 7 by 9.5, and then I scored it at 3.5 on the 7-inch side. But the 9 was too long, so I just trimmed it down a little bit so it would make sense. And then off screen, I added some shimmery, iridescent, glow-in-the-dark stars from the Woodland Christmas confetti set. Is it a confetti set? It's a confetti mix from This Calls for Confetti. Now, I do have some other stars from This Calls for Confetti, but these were tinier, so I liked the size, so I just pulled them out of the mix. It was really easy. Finally, on that last card, I also added some black cardstock to the back, but only to the top and the bottom. It's one full piece, but it only shows on the top and the bottom. I feel like that just framed it in a unique way, but it made everything pop. Now on this one, I'm sorry I've already gotten started. I am using Mowed Lawn to do some ink blending on the bottom, and that's just to create the suggestion that there's more greenery going on in the background. Now you can see that I keep bringing in that frame again to audition it. I need a sip of water. Excuse me. But I'm auditioning the frame because I want to make sure that everything I'm adding to my card base right now will fit with inside the borders of that frame. Now you can see on the far left and on the far right, I've used a very, very light tick mark with a pencil. Now it's a little bit darker on this particular card because I wanted you to be able to see what I was doing. But I use those tick marks just to show myself the borders of the frame so that I did not ink blend outside of the borders of that frame, but I wanted it also to go all the way to the edges. So I needed to know the inside and the outside parameters of that. So that's why there are two tick marks on either side. Now this stencil that I'm using is called It's Cloudy. It's a 6x9. Of course it's from Whimsy and I love it. I find that I don't have the opportunity to use it very often. So when I knew I was creating a scene like this, I had to pull it out and use it. Now, a top tip would have been for me to cover up all the smaller clouds on the inside of that cloud stencil on the inside perimeter, but I didn't. I got a little hasty. So I would encourage you, if you're going to use the outside of your stencil, cover up those inside stencils. Otherwise, you might have some different types of clouds on there that you don't necessarily want. Now again, I'm using the Build a Fairy Garden die set, and I have everything die cut out. This time I've die cut everything out in white watercolor card. Why watercolor on this particular occasion? Just because it's what I had the most of in white. I have a lot of white scraps, I just don't have a lot of larger white scraps. So the watercolor card it was, and it takes that ink just fine. I'm loving it. So back to the background itself, like I had mentioned earlier, I used Mow Lawn for the grass, and then I also used Broken China for the sky. Now on this particular mushroom cap, I am using picked raspberry and seedless preserves. Now when I was ink blending, there wasn't a whole lot of difference between the picked raspberry and the seedless preserve. So then I came in with wilted violet, and that gave that mushroom cap just a little bit deeper gradient. And then on that gill piece, I used a heavy hand to lay down the wilted violet ink so that it was just much darker. Now on the yellow one, I used wild honey and I used rusty hinge, and again just did a quick gradient. On the blue one this time I used Mermaid Lagoon. I did not use Broken China on the mushroom. I used Mermaid Lagoon. Now on the bases of all the mushrooms I am using antique linen and just a little bit of rusty hinge on the bottom just to give it again that gradient of color. I did not want the bases to be the same color as the mushroom cap. So I was quite sure that I did not use, or I was purposeful, I guess is the better word, that I didn't use antique linen on those mushroom bases. So here you can see that I have added some wet glue. In this case, I have my Barely Arts glue, and I have laid it all around the outside or the back side of my frame. And now you can see that it kind of just sets the stage. Like it's literally like you're looking at a stage, and I think that's really fun. It's a fun way to use bits and pieces that we might otherwise put in trash, and it just gives you a totally different look than using the inside, and we'll be able to see them side to side and kind of compare. Now, when I glued this down, I did not put glue on the tops of the grass because I wasn't sure if I wanted to tuck anything behind the blades of grass, and I did, and you can see that's exactly what I'm doing there with that pink mushroom. And you can also see the gills that are on the very bottom. Those are to go across the very bottom of the actual mushroom cap, not behind it. So that was my bad, and I figured it out, but you know, it's card making. Are there card making police? No, it is what it is. And I know better for next time. This was my first time in using them, and I still think they turned out really cute. Now, as I mentioned, I was using the It's Cloudy 6x9 stencil to make that background. And here I am using one of the sentiments from Beaucoup, Bouquet sentiments, again from Whimsy. And this says, "Your smile is like sunshine on a cloudy day." And there are the two cards in comparison. You can see that black frame as well as all of the stars. And then on the colorful mushrooms, I went back in and I added some sequins from This Calls for Confetti. And these are the aqua iridescent. And I just used a few just to kind of give it a little bit of shimmer and shine. And that blue matches the background and that mushroom cap so well. And I just thought that it was really fun. And I love that even though it's a two for situation, these cards are incredibly different. Now on this one, making a silhouette, I really felt like that background looked like a muddled starry sky, a night sky. And my only thing is, in making silhouettes, the grass should have been black or gray, not green. And that did not even hit me until I started watching the playback. So, would I change something? I would change that. But guys, this has been Nancy the Handy Scandy for Whimsy. Thank you for joining me. Go ahead and like and subscribe. We'd love you to be a part of our crafty tribe over at Whimsy. And you can also join us on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. And until next time, catch me downstairs in the comments. And you can also hop on over to the website to do some shopping using the links that are posted downstairs. Thanks, y'all. I'm out. Mwah.